All right, tomato growers, let's talk about the great backyard mystery novel we all star in every summer. Whodunit? The Case of the Yellow Leaves. You step outside with your coffee, admire your tomato patch, and suddenly notice that your prized plant looks like it's dressed for autumn in the middle of the growing season. Before you panic and start Googling doom scenarios at midnight, let's play detective together. Today, I'm handing you the magnifying glass and walking you through the top reasons those tomato leaves are turning yellow and exactly what to do about it. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we have to understand that there's underwatering or inconsistent watering. I can't tell you how much I come across this all the time. You see, tomatoes are about 95% water, which is why the plant is basically a drama queen the moment its roots go thirsty. Ancient Aztecs and lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. Ancient Aztec growers who first cultivated wild tomatoes learned early on that steady moisture made the difference between a thriving crop and a sad one. So the first thing we want to do is check the soil. Yeah, the soil moisture in particular down 2 inches before assuming that it needs water. You literally have to get in there and scratch that soil, open it up, and take a look-see to see what's going on. Now, water deeply and consistently, aiming for about 1 or 2 inches per week. Now, how do you figure that out? Well, it all depends on how you want to approach this. There are little hose and attachment gizmos that tell you how much you could do this. It could be a matter of guessing, but here's the problem. When you have a super hot weekend, well, shall we say, or maybe you're going through a heat wave of some sort, that right there tells you you're going to have to do maybe 2, maybe even 3 inches. So the bottom line is scratching that soil surface. How moist is it? You don't want it wet, you want it moist. And of course, mulch around the base to lock in that moisture. That right there prevents swings in the soil dryness. It allows the plant to become more consistent in whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, which is the consistency of the water. All right, what's the other reason? Well, here we have overwatering or poor drainage. When you have overwatering or poor drainage or waterlogged roots, what happens is that the roots suffocate. They actually breathe because they can't breathe when they're totally underwater. Roots need oxygen just like we do. And soggy soil is basically holding them underwater without a snorkel. So make sure that either the containers or the garden beds have proper drainage. You want to have holes inside of the containers so that the water can come out of it. You want to make sure that weep out of it. That's the key thing. Or your soil is sloped so that there is drainage depending on how horrible your soil is. You know, if you've got like a clay soil and it's puddling up, that's not good. That's a huge problem there. You have to fix the soil to make sure that you don't have that. That's why it's so important to prep your soil ahead of time. So important. So let the top few inches of the soil dry between waterings, especially if your soil is waterlogged. And then again, with the clay soil, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to amend it. You want to add some compost, you want to add some sand, you want to improve that drainage, do that little sloping thing so that it goes away from the plant. You know, it's not a science, but it's just something that we have to keep in mind because it's so important to understand that nitrogen deficient, not nitrogen, waterlogged plants are really an important factor. Now, another important factor is what I just alluded to, nitrogen deficiency. This right here can make is probably the reasons why the yellowing starts in the first place, because you're going to have it when you have inconsistent watering. But you have to remember this. The yellowing that starts on the older leaves, the lower first leaves, and then it works its way up, that right there, that's a classic nitrogen deficiency. And early 20th century farmers used the exact visual clue long before testing kits even existed to know when it was time to feed. So what do we do in a situation like this? You want to apply a balanced fertilizer. Now, I'm all about using liquid fertilizers. For instance, you have the Dramatic Organic liquid fertilizer. That's a fish hydrolysate. It's not a fish emulsion. Two different things altogether. Hydrolysates are cold processed, where your emulsions are heat processed, where it kills all of the nutrients and vitamins. So the Dramatic Organic is your key to do this. So you want to make sure that it's balanced off, because if you have too much nitrogen in your soil, you know what's going to happen? It's going to end up making very leggy growth. It might green up on you, yes, but it also will give you leggy growth, and the branches actually become very floppy. They don't become brittle as much as they become floppy. So also you can get a granular fertilizer that is developed especially for tomatoes or any kind of other vegetables. And of course, when you're working compost or aged manure, just make sure it is aged. You don't want to use anything fresh into the soil at planting time. That right there is going to be such a big difference when it really comes to understanding what your plants need. Now, remember, when you see the leaves underneath the tomato plant drying out, that's different. The older leaves will dry out on you. I don't want you to panic and to add more water, because that's going to create more problems for yellow leaves down the line. Drying leaves on the older leaves is natural. Don't worry about that. It's if they're yellowing, and they're yellowing first and then they dry out. Two different things. Now, of course, as with anything, avoid overwatering with your fertilizing with any kind of potassium or phosphorus alone, because that right there is really just going to mask the issue or the problems that you're having. It's really important to focus on the nutrients of the plant. And of course, that all starts off with, and I've alluded to that already, it all starts off with preparing the soil properly ahead of time. Know what you have, how much sand, silt, clay, organic matter, all over the place. And never, ever, ever plant your tomatoes each year in the same spot, because that right there is going to draw the nutrients out from the year before. And your plants are automatically going to go into this mode of having yellowing leaves. That's really the last thing. Look, you want your leaves green so that there's exchanges of starches and sugars within the sun, from the sun to the plant, so that it could develop the fruit properly. And that right there is the hot ticket for making sure that the plants stay nice and green. Fungal diseases like early blight and Septoria leaf spot are a couple of reasons why you could have yellow leaves. In fact, early blight has been vexing tomato growers since the disease was formally described in the mid-1800s. And it's one of the most common culprit of the gardener's blame, and rightly so, for splotchy yellowing leaves. Sometimes it's not all about the whole leaf turning yellow. It just could be these little splotches here and there, almost as if somebody took some yellow paint, maybe not that dark, but a greenish yellow, and threw it right on the leaves. So you want to look for the yellowing leaves with dark concentric rings or small black spots. Now, Here's the part you have to be really careful. You want to remove and destroy those infected leaves as soon as possible. And don't compost them. And especially don't peel them off. Keep them in your hand to go peeling off other ones or touching other plants. We're talking about putting up, this is like surgery for the plants. You want to make sure that they don't spread, because the spores of any kind of fungal thing can spread in so many different ways. You can have an insect going from leaf to leaf. You can have a bird from leaf to leaf. You can have the wind from leaf to leaf. You get the idea over here? These kind of diseases actually will go from leaf to leaf. It's a real huge problem that you have to worry about. So if you're in there and you're muscling around the plants and you're doing things around the plants, and your shirt is touching it, and or your jacket, whatever the case may be, and then you go to the next plant and you say, oh, well, this is just fine. You got rid of everything, you threw it away, and then you reach into a good plant, you could be the carrier of that particular problem to the next plant. So be really, really careful with that. Now, as far as watering is concerned, if you were to have sprinklers up on the top, number one, tomatoes never want sprinkler heads. No overhead sprinkling over the foliage. You want to keep it as dry as possible. So therefore, your watering has to be at the base of the plant. Whether you're using a hose, whether you're using a drip system, whether you're using a soaker hose like I do. I use a soaker hose for all of my plants, but I do come back at least once a week and I give them a good old-fashioned dousing with a watering hose and a water wand. That is so, so important, because it allows me to see the plants a whole lot closer. And that splashing is just, it's a big deal. It's a huge, big deal. So be careful with the watering, be careful with the touching of the plants, be careful of transferring those. I mean, you can't do anything about flies coming to your plant and going from one plant to another. You want the bees to go from one flower to another. That's a given. But you have you have other kind of insects that they're not going to land on that particular plant or on the flower. They're going to go from leaf to leaf. You can't control that. It's just the way that it goes. But do the best that you can. You can pinch off the infected leaves. Just whatever you do, do not defoliate the plant. You have to leave the green stuff there. If you defoliate the plant, it is going to die on you. That, I don't think, is really what we want. So this simply is the really plant practicing good tomato triage. Plants will sacrifice older, less efficient leaves. They're going to redirect energy toward new growth and fruit production. A survival trick between the plants have been perfecting for years. And you have to remember that you're going to have to expect some of the yellowing of the oldest leaves. The oldest ones that happens, we already went over that. It's just a progression. You could prune away the lower yellowed leaves to improve airflow. And remember, I realize that if it's a fungal thing, that airflow is actually going to smack the other leaves, but it's actually helpful when you're taking and you're pulling the plant apart and what's the best way to put this? When you're paying attention to it, that's what it is. It's going to help reduce the insect, the diseases. I don't want you to panic if it's isolated at the bottom of the plant while the top stays green. You're going to be absolutely okay with that. And then finally here, let's talk about pest damage from aphids, spider mites, and whiteflies. When it comes to insect pests, it's really amazing. Spider mites are so tiny that colonial era farmers often blamed yellowing crops on bad air or having poor soil, having no idea an eight-legged pest smaller than a period on a page was quietly sucking chlorophyll right out of their plants. So Inspect the underside of the leaves for tiny insects or fine webbing. Rinse the plants with a strong spray of water or use insecticidal soap. And I know I said they don't like water on the leaves, but sometimes we have to pull those things out to wash the insects off. And then don't forget to introduce beneficial insects like ladybugs to keep the pest populations in check, because I'll tell you, they will, hands down, eat a lot of insects. So there you have it. Garden sleuths around, closed case. The case is closed on your yellowing leaves, whether it's nutrients, disease, age, or a hungry little pest. Now you've got the clues to crack it, get out there, inspect those tomatoes, and keep the mystery novels on your nightstand instead of your garden bed. This way your tomatoes are going to look absolutely beautiful.